Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Do we do Jai Radha Madhava? No. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Tira Van Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. All right, where are we? To 6:30 something. Take a deep breath, real quick. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshushrunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, we are reading today from Canto 2, Chapter 6, texts 23 through 34, I believe. Excuse me, thanks. And we are going to read what, text 32, I think? Let's go to 23, I believe, because we are going to... Well, actually, text 32 is what I'm asked to recite. So, text 32 it is. Thirty-two. Please, we won't do one word at a time. We are going to do one line at a time because out of time. Srajami tanniyuktoham haro harati tadvasaha vishvam purusha rupena paripati trishakti trik. Srijam nanniyuktoham Vishvam Purusharupena Paripati Trishakti Drik. Sarupena Paripati Trishakti Drik. Sajam Piyahiyuktoham तद्वशः विश्वं पुरुषरूपेण परिपाति त्रिशक्तिदेक् युक्तोऽहं हरोहरति तद्वशः विश्वं पुरुषरूपेण परिपाति त्रिशक्तिदेक्. Synonyms? Oh, yeah. So what do you do? Synonyms? Or do you just go to translation? You go to synonyms? Okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. We'll do the word to word and then go to the translation and read the purport. Sujami, do create. Tat, by His. Niyuktaha, appointment. Aham, I. Haraha, Lord Shiva. Harati, destroys. Tad Vashaha, under his subordination. Vishwam, the whole universe. Purusha, the personality of Godhead. Rupena, by his eternal form. Paripati, maintains. Trishakti Drik, the controller of three energies. Translation, and I'm going to read and then okay. By His will I create, Lord Shiva destroys, and He Himself in His eternal form as the personality of Godhead maintains everything. He is the powerful controller of these three energies. Please repeat, by His will I create, Lord Shiva destroys, and He Himself in His eternal form as the personality of Godhead maintains everything. He is the powerful controller of these three energies. So, yes, we'll read the purport here. Yeah. The conception of one without a second is clearly confirmed here. The one is Lord Vasudev, and only by His different energies and expansions are different manifestations, both in the material and in the spiritual worlds, maintained. In the material world also, Lord Vasudev is everything, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Everything is Vasudev only. In the Vedic hymns also, the same Vasudev is held to be supreme. It is said in the Vedas, Vasudevat paro brahman na charnyo rathoti tattvataha. In fact, there is no greater truth than Vasudev. And Lord Krishna affirms the same truth in the Bhagavad Gita. Matta parataram nanyat. There is nothing above me, Lord Krishna. So the conception of oneness as overly stressed by the impersonalist is also accepted by the personalist devotee of the Lord. The difference is that the impersonalist denies personality in the ultimate issue, whereas the devotee gives more importance to the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam explains this truth in the verse under discussion. Lord Vasudeva is one without a second, but because He is all-powerful, He can expand Himself as well as display His omnipotencies. The Lord is described here as omnipotent by three energies, three Shakti Drik. So primarily His three energies are internal, marginal and external. This external energy is also displayed in the three modes of goodness, passion and ignorance. Similarly, the internal potency is also displayed in three spiritual modes, Samvit, Sandhini and Ladini. The marginal potency or the living entities is also spiritual, Prakritim Vidhi Me Param. But the living entities are never equal to the Lord. The Lord is Nirasta Samya Atishaya. Nirasta Samya Atishaya. In other words, no one is greater than or equal to the Supreme Lord. So the living entities, including even such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, are all subordinate to the Lord. In the material world also, in his eternal form of Vishnu, he maintains and controls all the affairs of the demigods, including Brahma and Shiva. I'm just going to read the next translation, if you don't mind. We don't have to go there. We can just listen. My dear son, whatever you inquired from me, I have thus explained unto you, and you must know for certain that whatever there is, either as cause or as effect, both in the material and spiritual worlds, is dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right. Any questions? Pretty interesting, huh? I'm going to start with asking a question. Oh, he got punished or something? What happened to him? Okay, all right, stay there. What does being dependent mean? Dependent. Right. We are getting to independence. In 3 days we'll all be independent. What is it, 4th of July? Something like that. Independence Day. Yeah. What does it mean? Drishtadhyumna Prabhu. You're relying on someone else to sustain you. Okay. Anything else? Any other thoughts? Yes. Deenatarini Devi.
You're not unable to do something on your own?
You're not unable. You are not okay. You are unable. Okay. You are unable to do something on your own. Okay.
Incapable.
Incapable? You're dependent means you're incapable. Okay. Subordinate. Durasha Prabhu ki jai. Durasha Prabhu says subordinate. Subordinate. Okay.
Trusting the other person.
Trusting the other person. Okay. Amazing. Okay. So let me ask you this question. Are we dependent or are we independent right now as we speak?
Dependent.
Anyone here not dependent? Drishtadhyumna Prabhu is not dependent. Yes, Prabhu. Okay.
People may think they're independent, but they're not.
Why do you say that?
Because we are all dependent on someone.
Okay, who are you dependent on?
God.
God.
We all are.
Why? Prove it.
Because, like everyone said, we're subordinate, and He's greater than us. So we need Him for a lot of things.
Okay.
I'm dependent on the temple.
You're dependent on the Mother Padma and the Rasha Prabhu. You're dependent on the temple. Okay.
Most of us that are in the ashram right now are dependent on the temple to a certain degree.
Why?
Because they pay our water bills. And
they pay your water bills.
And also put a roof over our head and give us food and all of that. So that's dependent.
Okay. All right. Anything else? The Drishtadumna Prabhu is saying that the soul has a little bit of independence, but we'll come to that in a second.
I'm dependent on the trees to give me oxygen.
Dependent on the trees to give him oxygen.
Yeah,
He
it's
isn't
like a
dependent on Aditi Mataji for making food for him. For oxygen, yeah. Do we like to be dependent? Some thoughts here.
For people, it depends on who you're dependent on.
You. Do you like to be dependent? Well, let's not talk about people. Let's talk about us. If given an option, would you rather be dependent or independent? Think about it a little bit. Yeah.
Me personally, I think I'd rather be partially dependent, at least, on somebody else.
Partially dependent.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like.
Can I read that as partially independent?
Partially dependent, partially independent. But I think if I was fully independent and everything was on me, it would be pretty stressful and pretty scary.
What part you'd like to be independent of? On which part of things you like to be independent?
Maybe like my thoughts, my personality, stuff like that.
You want to be independently thoughtful.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it can be a good thing if you're independent because you're free,
Yeah.
like free-spirited,
Yeah.
I guess.
So interesting thought, right? Interesting thought. Independent means being free. Dependent means being subordinate, enslaved. Yes? Maybe? Or is dependent being free?
Depends who you're dependent on. So
Two depends in that statement. Yeah. Okay. It depends on who you're dependent on. Okay. So explain.
if you're dependent on somebody that you trust and somebody that you care about, then, like, let's say you're dependent on your parents, or you're dependent, I don't know, on the temple, or you're dependent on like you're a really good friend, then that would be freeing. It would be fine, because you trust them. You trust that, they'll support you and everything.
What is the basis of that trust?
The relationship you have with the person. But if you're dependent on somebody like, I don't know, like a really toxic workplace or something, then that would not be freeing. That would be like binding.
Okay. And how would you trust someone? What is the basis of that trust?
Develop a relationship with them.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
Learn more about them and get to know them as a person.
Get to know them as a person. Okay. Yeah.
I think time and service, serving them, can be a way to get to know them.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, I meet this person, right? I meet Jose. Right, what's Jose, right? That's okay. I meet Jose. And do I make a choice? I'm going to know this person and I'm going to develop a relationship with that person. Am I going to serve this person? And then I'm going to be trusting this person. Is that the way we go about doing things? Yes, no, maybe? Takes reciprocation. And what if Jose doesn't give? Okay.
At least trust won't build.
Okay. I don't have anything to give him, let's just say. In a relationship, I have nothing to give him. I have nothing to give Padi at all.
You're not a person. That's impossible.
Maybe I can give him a lot of trouble, but people have children, they're babies. What do babies give?
they're really cute.
And then they grow up.
I think maybe the answer you want to listen is love, out of love. Why do you trust this and serve this person even if he doesn't have or he's not reciprocate with me?
That is true. Part of depending on someone, trusting someone is to love that person for sure. I'm not trying to get to an answer. The question that I'm asking here is, and it's very interesting, right? That you must know for certain that whatever there is, either as cause or as effect, in the material and spiritual worlds, is dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever is there, cause and effect, is dependent. Whether material or spiritual, is dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You want to say something?
I think as you're younger, you need to depend on people. But as you grow older and wiser, you don't need to. But as you grow older, if you're spiritual, you become more dependent on God as you're older.
The dependence on God is a very interesting thing, because we first have to find out what we are dependent on right now. And to some extent, or rather to a large extent, people actually are very dependent on. Are you dependent on your own mind? On your own thoughts? How would you depend on your mind? Have you developed a relationship with them? How can you trust your own mind? Has your mind not tricked you? Practically all the time? You buy something, oh, this is really nice, oh, really nice, you should get it. You get it and it's like, I don't think I like it. Even our relationships that we have happen here. Okay? Huh? Relationships that we have, don't they happen here? We start thinking about whether we like that person or not. Yes. And there is a cause and effect. Because the trees give me oxygen, I like the trees. If you stop giving me oxygen, I'm going to destroy you. Because you provide food and shelter, I'll stay in the temple. You stop providing food and shelter, out. Right? Hare Krishna. Huh? Because no one tells me I'm wrong, I'll depend on that person. I trust that person. Has that happened? Yes. The day someone tells me, I'm sorry, I don't think you're right. From that day, the trust level of that person goes from like, goes down to zero. Because how can you say you don't trust me? I'm the most trustworthy person around. I mean, yourself, personally, right? It's like, I have a certain thought process. You have a certain thought process. You go with that certain thought process, and someone or the other challenges that thought process. Challenges you and tells you, sorry, you're wrong. Yes. We really depend on our own mind to be right or wrong. Yes. I'm right because I know I'm right. Because this feels right. Because I've been told this is right, and I am the guardian of something that is right. This is how kirtan is supposed to be done. This is how spirituality is supposed to be practiced. This is how I'm supposed to dress up. This is what will bring people to Krishna consciousness. This is what is going to be the savior of the whole world. Yes. But we never question whether in our hearts, do we really believe in that? Or is it because we have been, I guess, told to do this? We actually depend on our mind and we agree, yes, this is it. This is how it is supposed to be. And at some point of time when that is challenged, and we haven't really, our consciousness hasn't really gotten to the point where we say, yes, I accept, really within my heart. It's an experience of the heart where I really know that yes, it is, I depend on my parents for food. I would have died if my parents wouldn't have cared for me. I would have died even today, and now if the trees put out carbon dioxide instead of, and they do if in the middle of the night, if at night they do the opposite process, right? Give out more carbon dioxide, and then that's why it's not really recommended sitting or sleeping under certain trees. You might die. But that's a different point. Yes. Within my heart, am I convinced that just chanting the holy names of Krishna once is going to purify me? Am I convinced that I want to be purified? Do we even know what it means to be purified? What does it mean to be purified? Make nice puris. Purified. What does it mean to be purified? What are we looking for when we come to Krishna consciousness? What are we looking for? Are we looking to be dependent? Do we come here saying that now I am going to relinquish my independence? Srila Prabhupada said that in one sense, right? Independence Day. Independence Day is when we declare our complete dependence on Krishna. It's there. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Because when we find out, really, what is Krishna consciousness? Yes. What Brahma is saying is that, I create, Lord Shiva destroys, but you maintain. But even for the creation and the destruction of everything, we depend on you, Krishna. Yes. For everything that happens, whether you are running a temple, whether we are running an entire institution, or whether we are running our own bodies. In most cases, that's where it. Basically, every single day of our lives, we are going through life. Somehow or the other, we are navigating the journeys of our life through various different situations. Yes. We create thoughts. We create situations. We create perceptions. I like this person. I don't like this person. I like doing this. I don't like doing this. I prefer this. I don't prefer this. Yes. So many different things, and we navigate through all of this, relying on the mind to make the proper decisions. But at some point of time, when we step back and realize that Krishna is the dearest friend, and Krishna actually is the reason, the basis of all causes and all effects. To the extent that he says, remember in the Bhagavad Gita, he says that I am the cause of three things. And there's a lot of threes. Vriddhi Sanivishto Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam. What does that mean? Smriti? Not me. Shout out loud. I think battery is dead. Forgetfulness. From him, we can remember things. You can't even trust yourself to remember something. You can't trust yourself to even forget something. You like to forget something really bad that happened to you. You can't do that. Krishna has to intervene. And he's a source of knowledge. Creation, maintenance, destruction. In different forms. Yes. But how does it work with us individually? We really have to take that perspective and understand that Krishna is present in every thought. He's watching those thoughts. He's watching every one of our thoughts. And he's really seeing, are you one, dependent on me in making a certain suggestion? Are you making it because that will make us feel better about ourselves? Or are you making it because that is going to please me? Are you depending on me when you're thinking? It's an interesting thought. That is Krishna consciousness. Isn't that right? Being conscious of Krishna in everything that we do, including making decisions. Speaking to someone, are we conscious of Krishna when we are interacting with someone, or are we making these decisions based on externals that we see and the perception? This guy is an Indian. You're not. You might be. I don't know where you're from. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so this guy is I don't know what, from Canada. Right? But this guy is Texan, or this guy is jaded, or this guy likes this guy doesn't like this, hence I don't like this. Yes. Constantly making those adjustments. Constantly, this guy is part of the Krishna house, this guy is not. We have to be careful. Be super careful. And are we real? And then connect with Krishna within our heart and ask, are we dependent on Krishna when we are making any judgments, when we are making these decisions? Mm-hmm. You want? Yeah, I know. Go for it. There are more batteries inside if you'd like to change them out. Yeah, no, go for it. Hmm. 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 What is good? What is the definition of good? Let me ask you this. There are some people who died inside of a submarine, thousands of meters underwater. Yes. Is that good? How do you know that? That's the question that I'm asking. What is good? Yes. See, the question of morality, especially from a Western theological standpoint, is very confusing because they don't accept this one beautiful thing. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. Anyone want to explain that? Or at least the last line. Sarva Karana Karanam. All causes. The cause of all causes. The fundamental basis of spirituality. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va yan bhuya. Ajo nityam shashvato yam purana nyahanyate hanyamanisha. There is no such thing as birth or death. There is no such thing as past, present or future for the soul. The soul cannot be destroyed. The soul cannot be created. The nature of the soul is Satchidananda. It's eternally blissful, full of knowledge. Yes. And everything in principle is spiritual. In that situation, there is no such thing as good or bad. Dualities exist, yes, because of us. Because of the mind. The mind goes between these two things, good or bad, happiness and distress. And Krishna, right at the very beginning, he's kicking out that. So, yes, matra sparshas tu kanteya sitoshna sukha dukkha. Yes, just like summer and winter season. What's one thing about summer that we know as a fact? It's hot, and winter will come. And what's one thing about winter that we know? And summer will come. And happiness and distress, similar. Good and bad, similar. You don't like bad? Wait for a second. Kale na sarvatra gabhira rammasa. By time, just wait a little bit. Just wait a little bit. Maybe not this lifetime, next lifetime. Sure. Just wait. Guaranteed. Yes. So dependence is accepting that whatever happens to us, Krishna loves us. That whatever is going through our lives is a means for us to help us remember Krishna. And sometimes the bad is better than the good. Don't pray to Krishna. But we see Queen Kunti, we went through the first, yes, Vipachanto yad shashvatya tatra, please constantly give me anxiety and troubles. Why? Because in that I remember you all the time. This is the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are in the second one. We have passed that stage. Why? Why are they praying? Why is the devotee praying like this? Don't pray, please. I'm not saying we should pray like that. We are not at that stage yet. But a pure devotee, the only thing that they want to do is to remember Krishna, because in their remembrance is the perfection of our independence. Yes, just like traffic lights. Without traffic lights, we would all die. So are traffic lights making us dependent or independent? Are they making us more free? Or are they actually making us more restricted? Traffic lights make us free, whether you like it or not. Yes, regulations, restrictions help us become free. Open doorways to the spiritual world. But we have to be aware of those things. We have to be constantly reminding ourselves of those things. Yes. And Brahma is doing that right here. He's basically reminding his son, always remember this. That being dependent on Krishna, not just because he's the creator and the maintainer and the destroyer of everything, and he is Janmadasya, he is the original personality, from him everything comes. That's all good. But because he loves you, and he is the one trustworthy, and hence from him, whoever is giving the message of what Krishna gives, delivers, is also dependent. Our dependence should be based on that principle. Shouldn't be based on people's opinions. I trust you because your opinion matches with mine now. But because, we have this basis of dependence, right? Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Yes, the spiritual master, the previous sages and the acharyas and those who have given this knowledge, and then the books, the Shastra. Yes. And when there is alignment of all of this, then we have dependence. Dependence is born out of discipline, out of regulation. And when it's born out of that, then it actually frees us. If we are dependent on the right sources. Make sense? Yes? Durasha Prabhu. Yes.
Control his senses by practicing the regulative principles of freedom can become free from all attachment and aversion.
Yes.
So that's what freedom.
Yeah, that is freedom. That is what being independent is. Raga dvesha vimuktesha. Free from attachment and aversion. That's pretty wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else? We're out of time, but are you dependent on hunger?
This is a really interesting topic of dependence. And when I'm thinking about inside myself about being dependent or completely dependent, there's always a little tinge of like, wait a minute, you know? And so in analyzing that, I was wondering what your thoughts about is that tinge of some kind of quote-unquote independence isn't so much about the independence, but it's more about I want to choose. I want to be free to choose if I'm dependent on you or not, or I want to be free to choice. And so I was wondering what your thoughts are on that, might be on that.
In the pure stage, in the purified stage, we do have that choice. When we are completely free of, as Durasha Prabhu was saying, no aversion, no attachments, yes, Brahmabhuta stage at least, where we are actually completely free from all lamentation and hankering, yes. Brahmabhuta prasanna atma na sochati na kankshati. When we are free, when we are actually free from these burdens of hankering and lamentation, of material desires, then we come to a point where we have that choice. And the choice basically is, do I want to deliberately submit my independence rather, to someone because I love that person. And so that soul basically has one choice. One, that's it. Whether I can depend on Krishna or I cannot. Should I depend on Krishna or cannot? Whether I should forego my independence for loving Krishna. Where it's like a child. A child has the option of deciding whether they want to forego their independence to the loving embrace of the mother or not, or the loving care of the mother or not. Yes. At some point if the child decides, no, I don't think that is how it is, my parents can say whatever, or those who have really taken care of us as we grow up. Should I trust this person? No. I'm not going to trust this person. And if that doesn't happen, then the ecstasies, the freedom that is given to me by trusting someone who trusts, who has invested so much love in us, we lose that. And Krishna gives us that choice. Would you want, yes, to would you want to take the complete freedom of being in the spiritual world, free from all anxieties forever, and also being completely ecstatic about it, in full ecstasy? Are you willing to? If you want that, then the only thing you have to do is to love me, is to trust me. And if you don't want that, the choice is yours. But once we make that choice, then after that everything we are dependent on. One side, if we make the choice of taking Krishna, we are dependent on Krishna. If you don't make that choice, we are dependent on the material energy. Then we start depending on the mind, which you can't trust yourself. But yeah, that is. Wow. And the choice we make is based on what we really want to enjoy. We really want to have fun. Yes. None of us here basically saying, I want to be miserable for the rest. Anyone here? Yes. We want to be really happy. And so we make that choice. Who should we depend on? That is Krishna consciousness. The whole process of Krishna consciousness is we chant the holy names of Krishna. Not because it gives us peace, because by chanting the holy names, Krishna is manifest directly through the holy names. We can taste him, we can see him, we can feel him, we can touch his hand, we can roam about in the fields of Vrindavan with him, personally. And you'll see the ecstasy, the freedom that is afforded by chanting the holy names. And then everything else becomes wonderful, including Gopal Prabhu's prasadam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Krishna house ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. It'll take me some time before my leg essentially wakes up. So I'm going to sit here for a couple of minutes. But I fall down. I can't even depend on my own legs.